Welcome to what many have termed the best alternative to church on a Sunday. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Breakfast Extra. Definitely a good welcome to you. It's the Sunday edition where we believe that being pious is old school, especially when a lack of it is one of the smallest sins that you can commit these days. I mean, if you need a list of examples of much graver sins, let me read you some. Well, you could try defrauding your state government of billions of naira, then holding authorities at bay with restraining orders, or you could also mistreat the naira with the worst way possible and still settle out of court. You know why? Because you're rich. In any case, you see, in Nigeria, it seems you can get away with almost anything if you're rich, or maybe in governance. In fact, at the gates of heaven right now as we speak, there's a Nigerian politician trying to bribe his way in for him and his family. But as we start our week here at News Central, we want to ask you guys the question, what news drama series will you be choosing to follow this week? There's very plenty of them, some of them spilling over from the week before and never failing to bring the twists and turns that Nigerian dramas are known for. Now, let's give you a list, another list, of some of the good ones. Now, ladies and gentlemen, try the dark thriller of Yahaya Bello, Yet at Large, now entering its third season, by the way, or perhaps the law room drama of EFCC Nigeria, the case of Cubana high priest and the EFCC. This we hear ends out of court. For the Fast and Furious fans, will enjoy the latest installment of Fast but Fuelless. That was a good one. In our horror section, if you want to be scared out of your pants, just follow Wike. I mean, honestly, that guy scares me. But back to reality now. As the new week begins, Nigerians, well, we celebrated Workers' Day last week, with workers seeming to be a bit too ready to forget their woes and enjoy the one day set aside to celebrate them. Amid speeches from governors and trade union leaders about alleviating the massive sufferings, we wonder if these speeches go anywhere at all, or will it be the same old story of resorting to strikes once again, a method that has never proven effective. I mean, if you want another list, I could give you, yes, I do have one. List of strikes. May 1981, was it? No. This one, let's start with the wages issue. Duration of strike, 2 days, that was. May 1988, Ibrahim Babangida regime, opposition to structural adjustment program. Duration, didn't happen. Military thwarted that one. And then it was the case of 1994, Sani Abacha regime. Agitation for the restoration of democracy. Duration, didn't happen. Military, remember? And then January 2004, Olusegun Obasanjo administration, the reintroduction of fuel tax. Duration, 5 days. June 2007, late Umaru Yar'Adua administration, increase in the pump price of fuel from 65 naira to 75 naira. Duration, 4 days. January 2012, Goodluck Jonathan administration, removal of fuel subsidy and increase in pump price from 65 to 84 naira. Duration, 5 days. You see, the list goes on. Has it solved anything? Not really. It's a method as old as time in Nigeria. In fact, I remember trying to write my UTMEs amidst one of those strikes. And speaking of the UTMEs, congratulations to the 8,401 candidates out of 1.8 million that sat for the exams and scored above 300. Now, that's 0.5% of candidates. More details have it that 24% only scored 200 and above. That means 76% of Nigerian students who sat for the UTMEs this year are, I don't want to say the word, but dullards? It can't be right. It's either that or our WAEC rates and pass rates have to be scrutinized or examined themselves. If you don't believe me, let me bring you another. You know what? We'll be here all day if I keep bringing out these lists. But with a massive brain drain still ongoing, it's hard to believe we do not have the brightest minds here in Nigeria, because I believe that we do. It's the reason they keep getting stolen away from us by countries like the UK, for instance. Well, it's in their nature, we understand. They steal everything from us. They've stolen our music, our best minds, our fashion, our athletes. Don't they still have our Benin bronze artifacts? Yeah, they haven't returned them, have they? But Ghana got theirs back last week. Are we next in line? Are we even bothered that they still have them? Or maybe they should just keep them, seeing as we can't seem to take care of anything here in Nigeria. Don't say I said that, please. Okay, I'm not going to end this on a very dreary note. Let's do this good. At the end, I believe in adding something a little bit positive to everything. Thus, this time I end by saying congratulations to Finidi George, ex-Super Eagles player, now the new coach for the Nigerian team. This is worth celebrating. No sarcasm, no tongue-in-cheek remark, just plain congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to Breakfast Extra for a Sunday edition here. Of course, I'm not alone. I have Judith Atibi on standby, and together in just a bit, we'll be giving you guys the Sunday dailies. Stay tuned and welcome.
And you're watching Breakfast Extra right here on News Central TV. To kick off the Sunday edition, let's dive into the very front pages of the dailies this morning, giving you a glimpse not just into the presses, but also on the front pages. And starting with this one here from the Sunday Punch, the very first headline that jumps at you from page 3 of the paper is federal government plans strict rules for $57 billion crypto businesses. At the bottom there, digital assets exchange operators, wallet providers, others in SEC DG. Operators want strict regulations for P2P crypto market. Officials say government may impose temporary ban on trading. If we go down to the bottom there, house shortage of physiotherapists, obsolete equipment hamper tertiary hospital services. Journalist detained on orders from above spends 4th day in detention. You can find that story on page 40 there. IPI demands immediate release. It's very interesting given that we just celebrated World Press Day. Moving away from that now, you can go on there. You'll find this story, Yoruba Nation agitation, not hatred for Tinubu, Akintoye, and that's on page 8 and 9. And also on page 46, UTME mass failure shocks parents, stirs debate. And on page 44 and page 45 of the Sunday Punch, you can find Mama left when I was 4, Dad abandoned me, 15-year-old basketballer en route to the U.S. Well, congratulations to him. At the very top there, you can find this. It's a Sunday paper, so this one's very interesting. Fatal ends. How hardship fuels mistrust, deadly domestic violence among migrant couples. And lastly, on page 33, I beg your pardon, of the Sunday Punch, Tinubu others to honor Awajale as monarch clocks 90.
Let's move on now to the nation for Sunday. This morning, government security officials aiding banditry. Governor cries out, says youths being recruited for as low as 500 naira. Unbelievable. Kebbi governor vows to sign death warrant of convicted informants, and gunmen kill 24 in Katsina, 3 farmers in Benue. At the top for the nation, pray for success of leaders. Sultan tells Nigerian, says Nigeria not only country with challenges. And inside Lagos, black market for forged affidavits, marriage certificates, and others. A very interesting read on page 19. Reminds me of Oluwole of the old days. We are not Igbo, Rivers, Ikwere, Blast, Iworo, Yanwu, Ohanese. That's on page 4. And Nollywood for a Sunday. Nollywood star Sean George defrauded of life savings. Oh dear, now that is painful. At the very bottom, Fanny Coyote, who has bewitched our beloved America? Good question, but who's bewitched us here in Nigeria? What other papers do we have, Judith?
Let's move on to The Guardian on Sunday, shall we? The Forex market defies interventions as CBN shops for alternatives. Find that story on page 2. It follows with a little bit of headlines there. Apex Bank has not abandoned unified exchange rate. Abubakar raising MPR to curb inflation will fail, says Emmanuel. Secured country productive economy will stabilize nation's currency, economists insist. And when you go to the bottom there, Press Freedom Coalition condemns continued detention of journalists by police, and that's on page 2. Away from that now, Oyene Yekon calls for genuine interfaith dialogue for sustainable peace in Nigeria, and that's on page 3 there. At the bottom, importation, local production needed to bridge electricity metering gap, power minister, and that's on page 3 as well. Police arrest 98 suspects for kidnap, 3 others in Yobe, and that's on page 2. Tinubu first year, watch technical education as game changer inside stuff. And that's on the back page of The Guardian. At the very top there, you can see Made in Nigeria campaign, how laxity in the application of Executive Orders 003005 undermines manufacturing locally. Tell me about it. And on page 9, in politics, why Ribadu, other top officials in Tinubu's government must support state policing. And that's from Salis. And that's all on The Guardian.
For the Sunday Independent, governors, other dignitaries shine at Independence Award 2023. We must remain united to build Nigeria, says Bode George. And insurgency. NAF inducting more UAS to minimize collateral damage, Air Marshals H.B. Abubakar tells, and cases against Emefiele and Duje Yahaya Bello as a test for EFCC analysts. I agree. Cries of living wage on Workers' Day on page 17. And at the very top for the Sunday Independent, anti-Tinubu forces behind protest against Matawale, Arewa Group alleges, and unite Akwa Ibom across party lines, Akpabio tells Eno. Moving on to the Sunday Tribune, which you have.
Yes, indeed. A very big one there. This siege of darkness laid to Nigeria must end. And that's the Anglican primate there on pages 5 and 7. Nigerians frustrated, hungry, angry, from the bishop there. Make religion force for national unity. Oyene Yekon says that there. At the very bottom there, black marketers reign supreme. They should have put that in that headline. As fuel situation persists. At the bottom, petrol sells 1,150 naira in Lagos, 950 naira in Ibadan. Buyers besiege NNPC stations, Bovas, and that's on page 4. Fuel vessels stock in Warri, major energy marketers. Ooh. Moving away from that now, at the very top there, minimum wage, maximum suffering. That's a good headline story. On page 11, understanding the after effects of a mismanaged nation. On page 5, ZenPay Limited partners with AFCFATA for innovative trade portal. On page 27, on a good day, I got 110,000 naira as share after operations. Otedola Bridge robbery gang leaders confesses. Go on to the very top of the front page there. On page 6, you find this story. I will sign death warrants of convicted informants leaking information to bandits. And that's the Kebbi governor threatening there. And on page 7, underbridge tenants, Lagos government intensifies manhunt for landlords.
Moving on now to the Sunday Times. Bandits retaliate military invasion on camp in Katsina, kill over 20 villages. At the very top, Nigerians reflect on why there was massive failure in UTME 2024. We are going to be talking about that one today. In fact, it's a big issue. That's what we might call it. Erile tussle, anxiety engulfs Kwara Town as crisis looms over royal stool at the very bottom. And then comprehensive guides to starting scaling Adire business in Nigeria. Wow, that's a very good one. In fact, if you go to Abeokuta, you'd learn plenty. Africa's climate goals will need $277 billion annually, annual capital injection. And finally, 18-year admission benchmark. Cheers, jeers for education minister by stakeholders. Do we have any more?
Oh, yes, indeed. We have The Metrics, by the way, one of our favorite movie of all time, if I do say so myself. Starting with the very big one that comes at you. North warns Tinubu over U.S. military base. Defense pacts to allow Nigeria to absorb troops expelled from Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Cautions against compromising Nigeria's sovereignty and independence, says U.S. military bases could potentially divert government funds and resources away. Operation of military bases can lead to degradation of the local government. You can find that at the very, that one screams at you. At the top there, fuel scarcity marketers summon emergency meeting amid the deepening fuel scarcity nationwide. Members of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria are preparing for a pivotal meeting of their national association. And the other side there, leaders trying, but Nigerians in a hurry to see changes. Sultan of Sokoto. Niger Delta youth warn Peter Obi, others criticism Lagos Calabar super highway. Interesting. At the very top there, you're going to find this one. NARC on Bodo's TCN establishes new system operator. And that's talking about power there. In sports, at the very top there, you see Real Madrid confirmed La Liga champions after Barcelona defeat. At the bottom, the Chief Defense of Staff there, I think for their photo editorial, the Chief Defense of Staff visits CBN Governor. You can find that story there. You see Cardoso, the CBN Governor, the Defense Chief there, General Mustafa Musa, and the Deputy Governor and others there just in front there. At the very bottom, the Nollywood actress Shan George cries out over 3.6 million naira bank fraud. The other side there, WPG dismisses EKEDC MD Tunuade Sanda for parading fake degrees, while Shribo refused to return government vehicles in his possession as in Edo State there. And Dele Momodu cancels EFCC chairman on Yahaya Bello. Well, he needs cancelling.
Our final paper this morning, Daily Trust for Sunday, 6 days after forum in Saudi Arabia. Tinubu yet to return. He's in UK on private visit, returning soon, say officials. At the top, the cost of coastal highway project on business lives in Lagos. We spoke about this yesterday, just in case you missed it. You want to go back on our YouTube page and find that conversation. We actually talked about the real cost. How housewife died protecting son in Edo. And this one struck me very interesting. 14 years after Umaru Yar'Adua's death, Nigeria would have been much better, says Aid. Basic honesty, Umaru distinctive feature, says cousin. Why present-day leaders can't be like late President Dr. Mustafa Inua, and what Yar'Adua told and taught me, Dr. Mataka Dharma. At the bottom for the Daily Trust, bandits recruiting youths for as low as 500 naira, Katsina government say, and Archbishop five other clerics kidnapped in Anambra. Boko Haram invasion on police station. We stand by our story. That's all we have inside of the Daily Trust. And indeed, that's it for the dailies. But first, let me say how beautiful you are looking for a Sunday morning here.
I try.
Looking as bright as the sun. Not bad at all.
I'm just like you. Unfortunately, I do not have a list, but I do have. I'm trying to stick to the yellow. Everybody say yellow. But I don't have a list.
It's all good. So when you're done, you're going back home at Dolphin Estate now, under the bridge, yeah? No?
Mazino, please.
Okay, wrong person.
Mazino.
If you still find it there.
You're
but
killing
interesting
me.
story there because they found another set of apartments under bridges inside of Ikoyi.
Yeah, and I love that it is happening where the influential and the affluent people are leaving. You know what I mean? Because these are neighborhoods that are supposed to be for the rich, they live there. So I love that this is happening because I need it to be right under their nose for them to understand what the housing deficit is. It is ballooned. We have an issue in Lagos State when it comes to the housing deficit. So I love it. I hope they see more. They should check under the gutters.
Check your gutters.
There might be more people.
We'll definitely be talking about that in the course of today. So coming up this hour, a look at our big report from this weekend. The Ondo, well, plenty much inside of the hour, only if you stick around. Stay tuned. And you're welcome back. It's still Breakfast Extra here for a Sunday edition. My name is Mazino Appeal. And of course, I have Judith TV here with me. We wanted to talk about something very interesting, Judith, didn't we? About the state of our prisons, especially looking at one as a sample, and that's Kuje Prison in Abuja.
Notorious.
It's notorious. I was going to say infamous. Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. The fact that we keep getting instances of escapes, not just ordinary escapes. It's an escape when you climb over the wall, but it's a totally different thing when you actually bring in, personnel to come aid the escape of people. It's also been said that perhaps that was where the Binance executive was before he. So what's happening inside of Kuje Prison?
What's very interesting is that in 2022, when there was another escape of prisoners, they blamed it on CCTV cameras not being absent. And it was absent. And when I saw it,
it's a prison facility. That's what you need. It's all you need.
It's all you need. what is going on? And exactly what it is. And so how do we, I mean, let's first of all say the truth about our prison systems. They are overpopulated, that people are waiting longer. The judicial system, even some might argue that, oh, it takes time. But the honest truth of the matter is it's not immediate, it is slow. People are waiting to, to have their day in court. And so it's ballooned. But the honest truth of the matter is that at the end of the day, these facilities are not, they're not state of the art. They don't have how do you not have CCTV in 2022?
Well, that's one of many issues regarding the prisons, and that's why we're talking about it today. Have you ever been to a Nigerian prison? Have you seen what it's like for the inmates?
I've been to Kirikiri before. Mazino.
As an inmate?
Mazino.
You knew I was going to go there. Why did you deliver it?
People are saying this thing now.
Serving it up on a platter of gold for Mazino. What do I'm going to take it. But in any case, have you been to a Nigerian prison? Well, if you haven't, let's give you an idea of what it's like. But only this time it's going to be one based on the lives of the rich and famous inmates. And we're going to start, or rather use the Kuje prison as our example here. Now, let me do this from my tab here. A very interesting point to note about the Kuje prisons. Located in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, the Kuje Correctional Facility has been operational since 1989, housing a diverse range of prisoners from those convicted for murder to even corrupt politicians. Now, during the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari between April 5th, 2021 and July 5, 2022, there were a staggering 9 prison breaks in Nigeria, with the attack on Kuje prison being the most recent one and very notable one. Now, among the high-profile detainees remanded at Kuje prisons are you ready? Hamisu Bala, also known as Wadume, remember that name? It was in the news only weeks ago. Gained notoriety as a kidnap kingpin operating in the northeast and north-central regions of Nigeria. Following his arrest on August 6, 2019, Bala managed to escape with the alleged assistance of compromised soldiers who opened fire on police officers transporting him. However, he was rearrested on August 19, 2019 in an operation led by police officer Abba Kyari, who later became himself his fellow inmate at Kuje prison.
Speaking of Abba Kyari, his reputation took a drastic turn in early 2022 when he was arrested for his alleged involvement in aiding and abetting drug pushing. Now, this followed a July 2021 revelation by the U.S. Federal Bureau of Information, and that's the investigation, I beg your pardon, and that's the FBI, linking him to a $1.1 million internet fraud scheme led by Instagram celebrity, or you might know him, is Roman Abbas or Hush Puppy. The people who followed him, I'm giving you a side eye. Anyway, further complicating matters, Kyari was declared wanted by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in February for his alleged role in drug trafficking. And in June of 2022, his associates, and that's Chubuna Ubemi and Emeka Ezenwane, were sentenced to 6 years in prison for their involvement in drug trafficking. Now, despite being granted bail, which included a hefty sum of 50 million naira, Kyari remains remanded in Kuje prison. That's another one, by the way. His name is Farouk Lawan. He's a lawmaker. He was embroiled in a scandal when, as the chairman of the ad hoc committee investigating fraud within the fuel subsidy regime, he was caught on camera accepting a whopping $500,000 bribe from Nigerian billionaire and oil mogul, and that's Femi Otedola, in 2012. Now, this payment was intended to remove Otedola's company, and that's Zanon Oil and Gas, from the list of firms implicated in fuel subsidy fraud. Now, Lawan's actions were seen as a betrayal of the public trust, as he was appointed to investigate corruption, not participate in it. You see that? See what happened there? Now, in 2022, he was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment by the Federal Capital Territory, that's FCT, the High Court there in Abuja. Despite his conviction, Lawan did not escape during the attack on Kuje prison.
Neither did Kyari, by the way. But then we have other names. Abdul Rashid Maina, very big name. His appointment as chairman of the Pension Reform Task Force in 2010 was meant to address corruption in Nigeria's pension system, wasn't it? However, instead of improving the system, Maina was accused of embezzling billions of pensioners' funds. He was dismissed from his position following these allegations and went into hiding to avoid facing justice. Mana was later sentenced to 8 years imprisonment for money laundering, offenses involving 2 billion naira of pension funds. Despite the seriousness of his crime, Mana did not escape from prison during the attack on Kuje prison.
Anyway, there's another person who is in Kuje prison. You might know him. Is the former governor of the CBN, Godwin Emefiele. In June 2023, Godwin Emefiele was arrested and charged with illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. Now, the State Security Service, and that is the SSS, had previously accused him under oath in December of 2022 of sponsoring the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra, and that's IPOB. Emefiele was also accused of sabotaging President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, financing terrorism, aiding and abetting terrorism, and committing other economic crimes to undermine Nigeria's national security. Now, additionally, the agency accused Emefiele of mismanaging the Central Bank of Nigeria's subsidiary, and that's NASREL, and the central bank's anchor borrowers program as well. Emefiele is currently standing trial at the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja over his alleged corrupt activities as CBN governor. Now, with these very interesting list of high-profile inmates, one question is that we want to ask, just one question asks itself, and a very pertinent question for that, and that is, how do the stories of, high-profile inmates in, Kuje prison reflect broader issues of power, of corruption, and justice in Nigeria? And maybe we should put a pin in it, and return another time, with relevant stakeholders to answer that question.
Yes,
we'll look forward to that. It's going to be security analysts, security people who are on the ground, who understand what security means, especially for this type of, high-profile
inmates. Yeah,
there we go.
A very interesting one. I'm looking forward to that conversation, actually.
Yeah.
And if you're also looking forward to it, well, we'll tell you when that's going to be coming. So if you want to stay tuned and make sure you keep it right here every single weekend, Saturday and Sunday, for Breakfast Extra. We've got more coming your way inside of this hour. But please do remember now, if you have any suggestions that you'd like to make, you have our, socials. You can always leave a message there.
You wanted to give out your number? Last week, some bank customers expressed panic as the Central Bank of Nigeria placed a ban on mobile money operators, including fintech firms, from onboarding new customers. Even where the Bank Customers Association of Nigeria backs the CBN directive, the new directive will affect fintech companies such as OPay, PalmPay, Kuda Bank, and MoneyPoint from opening new accounts until further notice.
Now, the CBN's move was linked to an ongoing audit of the Know Your Customer process of the fintechs, which have been under scrutiny in recent months over concerns about money laundering and terrorism financing. It was gathered that the CBN had summoned some of the heads of fintechs in Abuja, or rather to Abuja, to discuss issues around KYC last week. Also, the directive coincided with the court order that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission obtained to freeze at least 1,146 bank accounts owned by various individuals and companies allegedly involved in illegal foreign exchange transactions.
Joining us this morning to unpack the cause and implication of this, we're being joined by Yinka Onwusonya. He's a research lead, Intel Point. Yinka, a very good morning to you. Many thanks for coming on. Let's get started. First of all, just understand what the policy is. Why did the Central Bank of Nigeria decide to ban the onboarding of customers by selected fintech companies, which is 5? I'm talking OPay, Kuda, PayPal.
PalmPay. Yes, so
PalmPay, forgive me.
Yes, so for the banning, it's a case of yes, customers on these platforms are using their accounts to transact to have cryptocurrency transactions, which is, and then of course, the tricky part is, as of last year, December, the CBN said authorize banks, commercial banks and every other banks to facilitate cryptocurrency transactions on their platform. And then you're now coming 4 months later and banning those same transactions. And the fintechs that are supposedly powering it, because the fintechs are not really the only one doing it. So from people I've spoken with, it's a case of yes, only a fraction of the fintech customers are actually doing this. So you still have other in the commercial banks that are still doing it. But then it's a case of, yes, you are banning only the fintech guys from registering new and not every banks that is affected.
Very interesting. So why then did they target this? Because you just said now that the other banks, the other platforms that are doing this, the commercial banks, which is the, excuse me, the traditional deposit banks as well. So why are they now targeted? Is this a target? Because we understand that one of the concerns was KYC, which is know your customer policy. Then why then are these fintech companies then targeted?
Okay, so about 2 months ago or thereabouts, so someone did a story at Tech Points around the fact that these banks allow, most of these fintechs allow you create a bank account with just your phone number, without BVN or NIN, which means that I can just pick any number, any phone number, register a phone number, and register an account with another person's name, not my own name, because there is no NIN or BVN associated with that to confirm that, yes, I'm actually the owner of this. Yes, there was that case in recent times. But then this case of now seeing that you are now banning them from creating a new account, when recently there was a case of, yes, you only have to, people that will create accounts on your platform has to use BVN or NIN. You already set that in place. So why then are you going to say, yes, these people are not obeying what you ask them to do? Whereas they seems to have been doing that since the last 2 years, 2 months thereabout.
May I? So, interesting question this. If the main reason why these fintechs are making it easy for customers to be registered is to aid their business, and I'm thinking that that's also why the government is also making sure this is a good thing for the economy.
Yes, it's a good thing.
It is a good thing. So now, what is being put in place will help aid that? Because if you're going to stop these people from being able to onboard new customers, help their businesses, you're crippling the economy effectively.
Definitely.
Any policy being put in place as a substitute?
So right now, aside the fact that the CBN is trying to meet with these guys, probably look for a way forward to it, also stuff like that, there's really nothing new at the moment. It's just a case of, yes, we are doing this, stopping these guys from registering new customers. And then, so it's been doing this and doing another thing over the years. So in 2021, CBN banned cryptocurrency transactions on other branches. And then in 2023, it came again and said, yes, banks can now do this. And the surprising thing is, in 2022, SEC released a framework to guide cryptocurrency exchanges in the country. And while this framework was out, the CBN ban is still in effect. So you have a case of the CBN saying one thing and a sister body saying another thing. Which is like there is really no handshake, no collaboration between these agencies, which seems to be controlling the financial system in the country.
So now what's going to happen to these banks, these fintech companies? Is it going to affect, or definitely it's going to affect the way money is being transacted through them, thereby it's going to affect their income now, isn't it?
Not really, because what this this ban is for onboarding new customers. Yes. So definitely, customers that are currently on their platform can still do all the transactions that they've been doing over the years. So they can see just the onboarding new customers that they can, and which means, so you have businesses that want to onboard on this platform. Those businesses they can, but yes, it could affect those other guys, because the reason why people might want to go for this fintech guys is because of the speed at which the transactions on them take place. Last year in each of the cashless, when we were moving using old currency and changing it, and then there was scarcity of cash. It was these guys that people turn to because of you transfer to someone and in seconds the person already gets it. So, but then what it means for them is they can't onboard new customers. But then the customers that they already have, of course, they keep doing the transactions that they've been doing.
Right. On Friday, correct me if I'm wrong, all of the apps, most of the apps that were affected, put out a directive, more like a warning to their customers to ban, any type of, trading of cryptocurrency on the platform. And What's this ban related? It makes me wonder, the ban by the CBN from onboarding new clients or new customers on the application, do you think is related to the Binance money laundering case currently in court?
Definitely, definitely. So since the Binance issue, so we had a case of, yes, recently so over 1,100 banks were linked. So part of, aside funding terrorism, part of the reasons for the ban was, I mean, for the blocking those numbers was a case of them using their banks to transact, to do cryptocurrency transactions. So definitely, it's all linked to the fact that yes, Binance is in quote using, I mean, affecting the downward trend of the naira over the last 7-8 months or thereabouts. So often definitely it's all related. It's all related because why you are banning these guys is because you claim that their customers are using their banks for cryptocurrency transactions, and then it's a case of it's not only their customers that are doing that. Customers from other banks are also doing this. So why not go after these guys? Which sounds a little bit tricky.
Very interesting indeed. Now, we're seeing, this crackdown and this reluctancy by the CBN, the Apex Bank, when it comes to cryptocurrency trading. What is the expected effect of this then on a larger broad scale in terms of our economy and emerging markets and, cryptocurrency and just fintech in a larger sense?
So recently, the CBN in one of its circle after, I think after lifting the ban was that cryptocurrency is part of the future. But then when you look at what they are doing now, it's a case of you're seeing something is the future and you're doing something that negates what you've said that is the future. So I'm saying this is the future, but then you are not supporting that future to take place. So what it means is anyone coming into the cryptocurrency space in the country will be very careful of, because you don't know which regulator will come on board and say, okay, you can't do this anymore, because the SEC said, okay, come, this is a framework that you should follow, but then the CBN is saying you can't do that. So definitely really affect that. And in the last, since SEC released the framework, we've not had any company that successfully got the license. And I believe this might be one of the reasons, because you're looking at, you get the license and then another agency is telling you that you can't actually use this license. So what's then the purpose of getting a license? And the license, I think the paid up capital is around 500 million. So all this just bother around the fact that, yes, we are seeing one thing and we are doing something else.
So I have a very interesting question, and I'm not asking you because you are a culprit, but I'm asking, how exactly can one launder money using these apparatus, these fintech apparatus? How exactly can one evade tax? You know how, yes?
So this is it. So the nature of cryptocurrency, to my knowledge, is a case of, it's mostly mostly anonymous, so send through keys
and
not to bank account. Yes, the anonymity part, so you can just send money to anyone without actually knowing the identity behind it. So there are cases where you can know who actually, but then that's a long process you know about. But then it's a case of, yes, that anonymity that it provides means that I cannot send money to someone without knowing the person. I just have the person's key and we're good to go.
Earlier during your response, we were talking about one of the reasons why all of these apps were banned, and the very big challenge is KYC policy and them just onboarding customers and the ease of doing it. How then can the fintechs, because they're emerging, they're big, they are almost rivaling the traditional deposit banks that we have. But then this is a huge concern for. How then can they mitigate this challenge and overcome it?
Yeah, so it's just to, for the KYC, it's just to follow the requirement that the CBN has laid out. Okay, yes, for anyone to be onboarded on your platform, you just have to have either BVN or NIN. So that makes it easier, because so far they can follow that. I believe that works for them, but it only means that they can onboard people without that, according to the KYC. So, I mean, the regulations.
And still on, tax, rather still on regulatory, compliance. It's the same with cryptocurrency, right? Binance has been, in court, with the EFCC, the director absconded. That's a better word to describe it. When it comes to just compliance itself, why is there issue with, regulatory compliance, especially now that we're bringing cryptocurrency into this conversation?
Okay, so now. CBN, most of the body language is the fact that Binance and the other guys are the one crippling affecting the naira exchange to the dollar over the last 10 months. So it's that we're looking at. Okay, yes, we're just saying this is it. So let's go for this. So that's just what CBN is doing. You're saying we've identified the culprit, so we just keep hammering.
So then, when you talk about regulatory compliance, does the fintech also need to like balance that as well? Because if we're being specific, cryptocurrencies and other platforms, they're now getting more common, right? And they're now being held for cases of money laundering and tax evasion purposes. So how then can they, be tight in terms of, compliance, regulatory compliance?
The regulation is there already, just KYC. So follow the KYC. So you must be anyone getting onboarded, BVN, and if it's a corporate, so they have the CAC certificates and any other document. Following that KYC will really help them in the long run. Because what I said 2 months ago there about that, obviously news around the fact that people are just creating an account for other people. I had someone send an account to me of a former boss with the former boss's name on it. And it was a case of yes, because you can just create that.
So with that you just said, are there specific cryptocurrency platforms that people are actually using?
No, those ones are just...
No, I'm asking now a different question. Are there specific ones that people are using to perpetrate these crimes? Are there any specific ones?
No, that I know.
So you can use...
So, no, but then the example I made is creating a bank account with another person's name. Using just your phone.
And we've seen that so many times. I can't name names, but in terms of platforms, but we've seen cases where people are opening accounts and just using
your name. So yes, so that happens. But then I believe sticking to the KYC requirements really help in curtailing that.
Well, we really hope that that comes. I mean, when you talk about the fintechs, then you say that them onboarding new customers or not onboarding would not affect them, but there should be some sort of pivot. What do you think would be the pivot for them?
So I believe the banning in onboarding new customers is not a long-term thing. So hopefully they'll come back to the table and say, okay, yes, this will do this, or this, or they'll follow KYC, and then say start onboarding, because there's really no pivot in that. There's really nothing you can do. It's a case of yes, you really need new customers. You need new customers. You need new customers because your customers, yes, you may have 1 million customers, but how many of those customers are active? So, but then to keep increasing that, you have to keep onboarding new customers, So there's really no, I don't think there's any way they can pivot except to say, okay, yes, let's come to the table and see how to address this, and then start onboarding new customers again.
Oh, I want to say thank you very much, Yinka Osai, for joining us today and in making this all clear. You've demystified it for us. We appreciate that. Thank you indeed.
Yinka, many thanks.
Thank you.
You're still watching Breakfast Extra right here on News Central TV. We're going to take a short break. When we come back on the other side, we'll bring you the news at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
Good morning. Welcome to the news on Breakfast Extra. I am Adibola Adedugba. Let's begin by telling you that the marketers is under the aegis of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria have said their National Executive Council will be meeting officially on Monday to find a lasting solution to the problem. The national president of IPMAN, Hamed Fashola, said that Monday's meeting became expedient following the prevalence of fuel scarcity despite recent aggressive moves by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Fashola said NNPC, which is the sole importer of petroleum products to the country, opened up its reserves in all existing depots across the country on Friday in the bid to ease off the long queues at the fuel stations. Away from that, Nigeria's naira has seen fluctuating recovery against the US dollar in the last few weeks, but prices of goods, particularly food items whose high cost was blamed on the decline in the naira, have not reciprocated. News Central's Jude Bella went out in Abuja, the nation's capital, in search of answers.
Over the past few months, the Central Bank of Nigeria has been rolling out new policies in an effort to stabilize the value of the naira as the country battles record-level inflation. These efforts, which include combating the activities of foreign exchange speculators as well as illegal bureau de change operators, appear to be yielding results. The naira has risen above the February 2024 lows, where $1 sold for over 1,800 naira. Now, the currency sells for about 1,200 naira, sometimes even crashing to below 1,000 naira in the official window. But has this affected the prices of goods in the market? Reporting from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, we are here in Wuse Market to talk to marketers to find out how this inflation thing is still a topic for discussion, even though the naira has risen against the dollar. So let's head over to the market and talk to a few people.
Bag of gari, now it depends the gari on gari. You know, we have different gari. There's the one they are selling at 5,000. There is one they sell 65,000. They go up now. One mudu of garina is 1,200. I don't know what consign dollar and the Nigeria goods. So, like this gari is what we produce gari in our country, produce beans in our country. What consign dollar and the naira? They are not importing rice, gari. They are not importing beans. So I don't know. Every time dollar and naira. Maybe I will ask you the connection between two of them. Because the gari, we are producing it here. Beans, the same thing. They say one big man that has big company, I don't want to mention his name. They say he enter bush. So Kilian, when he entered any farm, he will just pay them. They will uproot the gari, use it to do flour. So because of that, I don't know, but this is what we heard. Now a mudu of beans now is 2,200 naira. Beans of 700, 800 before. Now 2,200 naira, one mudu of beans. One bunch of ugu before is 2,005. Now one bunch is 8,000 naira. Before this ugu is 100 naira. Now, before 100 naira. Now it's 200 naira. This one they scarce too because they use fertilizer. There is no fertilizer. They use import fertilizer.
It's polytan now because empty rubber go off. Now before they say 5,500. Now because empty rubber do go high. Now 7,065 they sell. So red oil, all this oil it don't go off. Now only red oil day down 3,700, 3,800. This egg, if you buy yesterday buying 3,000, so plan for 3,500. So maybe tomorrow, or next tomorrow, you go see 3,600. Every day they go up now.
This kind of price be like dollar price. So just the thing they raise off, come down, raise off, come down. Understand? This is not, I'm not saying nothing about dollar. You understand? Because we are producing inside our country. So no need to compare this one and dollar. Right now we are selling this one 4,405. Yesterday we are selling less than that. Today is the thing go up. Just we are taking this like just time. We are not have standard price. You understand? Today you can fee buy 40,000. Next tomorrow go fee buy 35 or 30, 3,000. The baskets. It's going off now. It's a season, but it starts scarce. You understand? Last week we are selling 2,000 because rain was coming now. It's this time. It's for dry season. This time when we are seeing. So dry season is moving now. This no compare about dollar. You understand? Just how do you get it the kaya and then how you can sell it. How we get it, how price will be. Always we are going market. When we go market, anything when you see you can take it now. If they bring it plenty, price will come down. If they turn scarce, price off. Just that is the solution.
This one they sell on 3,000. It they go up. You know, say no be the season now. It they go up now. That's why. Yeah, I'm done the expensive. Before this one now, I feel sell on 1,500, 2,000. But now it passed like that. Nothing concern dollar with him. No be dollar issue with this one. You know, say yam season no be. I tell you say no be dollar. They control all the now all those fuel issue. Now they increase everything. No be dollar.
Most producers and distributors of goods and services had blamed the high exchange rate for the astronomical rise in prices of goods in the market. However, against the backdrop of the positive stability being witnessed in the foreign exchange market in recent weeks, the National Bureau of Statistics reported a further rise in inflation with a headline rate of 33.2% in March. Food inflation rose to 40.02% from 37% in that same period. Now, the marketers are saying the dollar is not to blame, but fewer prices. So where do we go from here? Is there hope for a return to normal for the average Nigerian? even though the cost of transportation remains high as a result of the increase in fuel pump price. Some experts believe that the appreciation in Naira will take some time to kick in before it begins to reflect in the prices of goods and services, especially because the majority of consumer goods in circulation were produced or imported when the dollar was about 1,500 Naira or more. Well, as we continue to join the optimists in believing that the monetary policies being rolled out by the Central Bank of Nigeria will help fix Nigeria's economy, there's just this one big question. How long will it take before it begins to reflect positively on the life of the average Nigerian?
On a sad note, former Minister of Education and industrialist Kenneth Gbagi has died at the age of 62. Gbagi was a governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party in the last election in Delta State. He was reported to have died on Saturday, May 4th, and this was confirmed in a statement released by his family. Staying in the west of the continent, Togo's ruling party won a parliamentary majority in April's legislative elections. This was announced by the country's Electoral Commission after a divisive constitutional reforms critics say allows President Faure Gnassingbe to extend his time in power. Gnassingbe's Union for the Republic Party won 108 out of 113 seats in the new assembly. The participation rate in the election was 61%. Under the new constitution approved by lawmakers in April, Gnassingbe will now be able to take a new post as President of the Council of Ministers, similar to Prime Minister that is automatically assumed by the leader of the majority party in Parliament. And still on election matters, but now we move to Central Africa, where Chad's junta leader, Mahamat Idriss Debny Itno, has held his final presidential campaign rally ahead of May 6 ballot. In power since April 2021, the current leader was proclaimed president by the army on the death of his father, Idriss Deby, who was killed on the battlefield after ruling for more than 30 years. The 40-year-old ruler had initially pledged to move to civilian rule after an 18-month transition before extending that period and finally announcing his candidacy for president.
Suffrage obtenu, siège obtenu 2. La répartition de 113 sièges se présente comme suit. Adi, 2 députés. ANC, 1 député. DLP, 1 député. FDR, 1 député. UNI, 108 députés.
And that's all on the headlines. I am Adebola Adeduba. Let's take a short break. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Now, in the hustle and bustle of modern life, our physical well-being often takes a back seat. However, maintaining a balanced and also healthy body is essential for a fulfilling life. Welcome to Wellness Central here on Breakfast Extra, where we focus on restoring and maintaining your body's natural balance.
Speaking of balance, chiropractic care plays a crucial role in our approach to wellness and balance. Chiropractic care focuses on the relationship between the body's structure, mainly the spine and its function, and for enhancing your body's ability to heal itself. Now, through adjustments and other techniques, chiropractic care can alleviate pain, improve mobility, and enhance overall well-being. So whether you're seeking relief from chronic pain or simply looking to maintain your health.
Yes, well, today we have with us in the studio Dr. Paul Johnson. He's a chiropractor. We're going to be discussing back in balance, aligning your body for your health. You are welcome, Dr. Paul. Good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, Dr.
Last time we met, you said you were the best chiropractor in Nigeria.
In
and
Africa.
I thought you were just...
Said Africa.
In Africa.
Yeah, bigger stage, Africa. And I thought he was joking until he laid his hands on me and I became a believer.
You know, yelped. He yelped. He said, hey.
I yelped, you cursed.
I see it now. I did. Well, if you know me, you know I'm a foul-mouthed person.
But
so.
it was very good to have to see you in action. It was liberating. Let me put it that way.
Thank you.
Yeah. But tell us about the practice. Tell us why exactly we need it.
Okay, so we cannot take off the fact that
we live our life wanting to be healthy. So the average human wants to do everything he's doing or she's doing and not feel sick. So, but our culture, our health culture in Africa is underrated because we don't, just the way we say every Friday we are going for the turn up, and on Sunday sometimes we go to church. We don't take our health as serious. Only 20% of us in Africa really say, okay, it's a routine. So when I got to understand the importance of not taking drugs and feeling good, I knew I have to make everybody understand the importance of chiropractic, and which is the best way to be healthy and not have to go to the hospital and stay in the hospital. Yes.
So, my apologies. You're so excited, just like I am.
Oh, goodness.
Go ahead, Judith.
Look, there's fear, right? A lot of people have fear, and fear sometimes can lead to ignorance, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Someone might be watching and say, this thing is a trending thing. I said, everybody do it. I cannot do it too.
Yeah.
I mean, the very first time before I even attempted to, there was also the fear as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure our viewers at home are watching and also have, what's the word I'm looking for, Miss help me.
I don't know which one you're looking for. Let me check.
But I mean, they have, they don't believe, they look at it, you're dealing with the bone,
Bones, yeah.
there's a spine, what if something goes wrong?
Yeah.
They're afraid.
Yeah.
How do you quell their fears?
Okay, so number one is that people need to understand that the spine is unbreakable. You have to understand that the spine is unbreakable. God did not do it to be able to break except a very fatal accident. So me, I cannot, no matter what I do as a human being, hit you, throw you up, hit on the floor and all that, I can't break your bone. Your disc is very strong. Your bone is stronger than a concrete nail, than a rock. Yeah, it's stronger than it. So, and then come to talk, meet a chiropractor who is trained and is practicing, right? I'm trained in China and also I'm practicing. So it's one thing to say I'm trained and I don't have the opportunity to practice. I'm also practicing. That means every day my knowledge is renewed, right? So people need to understand that chiropractors, real trained chiropractors, had understood how to manipulate and realign your structure. So it's hard. Anybody who, I had one time somebody said to me that somebody was doing something, a chiropractor was doing something on a lady and she got paralyzed. And when I went back to watch that video, I realized that the person who was fixing it was not doing the process well. So if me as a chiropractor, instead of starting from your hands, I start from your neck, I'm going to cause a damage. So you must follow the steps.
Interesting.
Very interesting that you say steps. Very interesting that you mentioned training. Very interesting that we actually saw him in action.
Yeah.
Now, I saw that you started even from the fingernails and then the elbows and then our ears cracked. Our ears cracked, people. He cracked our ears. There's a bone there. I didn't know.
There is. I think it's the tiniest
the
bone.
Steps, yes.
When you
steps.
speak of that training, how dangerous is this skill in the hands of, well, it's no longer a skill when it's in the hands of someone who is untrained? Because when I go home, I will admit, I tried to crack my wife's ears, but it didn't work. So I'm like, okay, so what if I tried some of the more extreme things you did? Would I hurt her? Is it dangerous?
It is, because the tissues are very soft. Your synapses is the lightest organ in your body, right? Which is the electrical waves in your system. It's just like, for example, if there's an electric here and there is water on it, anybody who is around it is at risk. So if your synapses get tear, right, that's where you have inflammations. That's where you have redness. That's where you have pain. That's where you have blood clots. So if you don't know the amount of pressure to put on a particular part of the body, the person who is receiving is at risk. Even the person who is doing it is at risk. So when I came back to Nigeria, there's this friend of mine who is also a chiropractor, but I don't know how she did it in Abuja, and she mistakenly did the wrong thing, and the person got paralyzed.
Oh dear.
So I had to go to Abuja to go start, arranging it. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, in your line of work, doing this for as long as you have, what are some common, injuries that you see that people, is it everybody? I mean, somebody might say, I'm limbo, I'm nimble, I'm flexible. I really don't need to see a chiropractor. Who needs to see a chiropractor? Do you need to have dislocated your ankle before you see a chiropractor?
Okay, so the most painful thing about living your day-to-day is stabilization. So stabilization is the partial dislocation we have, just like when you say something is dislocated. So what we align is stabilization.
Say that word again.
What we align as chiropractors are stabilization.
Stabilization.
Yeah, stabilization, which is like dislocation. So every human being, as far as you're moving, you're sleeping, you're sitting, you are doing your normal thing, your body is stabilizated. That's why sometimes you see some people, they are tilted, they have scoliosis, they have lordiosis, they have leg rheumatism, arthritis, and all that. It's not because the body just went off, is that there's compression and stabilization. So where chiropractors come in is to realign that stabilization. And nobody can align stabilizations except chiropractors. That is the essence of our practice. So people that need a chiropractor is anybody who sits a long hour, who has sciatic nerve compression, who has lordiosis, who has migraine, who has insomnia, who can't sleep. So you don't need drugs. Now, I'm not saying that the drugs is not important, but if you do the right thing and then you take the right drugs, your body will now our body heals only when we sleep. That is the only, every drug you take allow you sleep. Yeah, it's go to that part of the body, the organ, calm it down, right? If it's inflamed or whatever it is, calm it down and allow you to heal when you sleep. So what chiropractors do is to put your body in that shape, you now take your drug, and then you sleep. And your body heals. Yeah, that's it.
So then, do you need to just see a chiropractor once? Is it advisable to see them at least once a quarter, biannually? I mean, it's more money for you, Shab. How often do you see a chiropractor then?
So I advise my clients, based on how active you are, see a chiropractor at least once a month.
Once a month?
Yeah.
It's not cheap, guys. Once a month. I can tell you it's not cheap.
Yeah, see a chiropractor once a month because, well, once in 3 months is not still bad, right? So we want to live long and strong. That's the most important of everything. We are young right now, right? But when we are getting to some certain age, somebody said to me that once, it was when I got to 40 that life changed, and I told him, life did not change. You didn't just take care of yourself. And he was like, "Boy, I don't understand." And I said, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to give you a free session. Let's try some." And I did some.
Thank you very much.
You weren't talking to me? No. I was the client. I'm joking. And then, when I finished, he said, one, my energy increased. So the importance of chiropractic, aside the aligning the stabilization, right, is that you notice that your oxygen intake becomes more. And once there is enough oxygen in your system, you are alive. Once there's enough oxygen in your system, you burn the right calories.
What are the effects on other organs? Is it just your lungs or?
No, so your kidney, your heart, your lungs, everything, your bowel, your digestive system, your tummy, you just realize that, you just know that you're alive. Understand? Some things that, for somebody said, if she's at work, she easily forgets, right? And when I finished, she said, wow, her brain is sharp again, because oxygen and blood is one of the essential things that must flow in your system. If it's not flowing accurately in your system, then trust me, that person is in trouble. And if it lasts up to 3 months, it becomes hazard in your system. And if it becomes up to 3 years and all that, there was a day I cried in my office, not because I couldn't fix the person, but because the person has been fixed. The person had been faced with what's it called, pelvic tilt for 28 years.
Pelvic tilt.
Pelvic tilt for 28 years, and the person said I had gone everywhere, churches, hospitals, nobody could fix me.
What is pelvic tilt? How exactly? I want to.
Yeah. Whilst you answer that question, right, let me throw more to you. I'm sorry, my producer is going to kill me. But when you said pelvic tilt, it just made me realize that there are some lifestyle, besides you just point out sedentary, we have to stay active. But what are things that we do as a person that aids to our
tilting and all that?
Tilting our rear line on, I don't know, what's the word? In alignment?
Okay, number one.
Disalignment.
Disalignment, there we go.
Number one, where we sleep, the bed. Some practitioners has made us believe that the best bed to sleep in is orthopedic bed. That is the, I don't know.
You can say worst kind.
Yes, exactly. That's the worst place to sleep.
Really?
Yes. So there is orthopedic, there is posturepedic. Orthopedic only comes in when you have accident, you have stroke, you had surgery. It's supposed to keep you sedentary or bedridden for the period of your healing, which is no more than 3 months.
Oh.
Yes. After that, you go to either foam or you go to posturepedic bed. Posturepedic bed takes your posture while you're sleeping.
And remembers it.
And then you wake up strong, right? But everybody believes the best bed is orthopedic. Because I want to sell, I won't tell you that's the right thing, that's the wrong thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So where we sleep is one, where we sit is another. Yeah. And then what are your activities? What do you do? Do you go to the gym? Are you doing the right thing? Or you're just lifting?
You're just lifting.
Right? There must be a pattern that you take for you to be able to lift 200 kg. But if you're not in the right position, even 50 kg can damage your life. So those things you have to understand that, yes. And then what we eat also, what we drink. I see people, and I'm happy that an article had come out that is a very wrong thing to do. People go soaking themselves in a cold
ice bath.
That's the worst thing to happen to a human.
I thought they said it was supposed to freeze your muscles.
It is the worst thing to happen to a human. I saw it, I kicked against it, but the person who invented it, I have the article, that invented it in a football match, came out to say it's the wrongest thing to do. You're not supposed to, okay, so if you have an injury now, within the first 3 hours, you can freeze it, right? Because of inflammations. But after the first 3 hours, you either use hot bath or hot compress, or you do the right thing, but not to say a full human should go and soak themselves in an ice. You are shutting your brain.
Wow.
Yes, because your brain have more liquid than blood. Yeah, blood can take it, but your brain will shut down.
Interesting. Dr. Paul Johnson, thank you very much for coming in and telling us about this. There's so much that we have learned, that I've learned. Not all just that, also the experience of having you operate on our body. Fantastic.
Oh, speaking of operations, I would say that my body operated, all right, but I still need more. I think you talked about the sciatica, and we know we have
so sciatica is more common in the world, and people go do surgery for sciatica. Don't do surgery for sciatica. It's just a compressed nerve.
Well, we're going to come to that. But speaking about operations, he also did something here in our studio. He operated on...
Tula Deliru.
I wasn't going to say the name.
Yeah, but...
But here we go.
Check this out.
Take a look.
Your hands and then to your neck, because you cannot do the neck strap without realignment of all this so that you don't cause injury to the patient. Yeah, chest out. Flex, 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 flex. Ah! Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Flex, 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 flex.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, so now we just released gas, and also the oxygen flow will improve. So we need to relax your blade so that you don't have inflammations. Yeah. Okay, so we have the smallest bone in the body, which is called steps. Yeah, that balances your body, your brain. It helps you retain memories. So when your brain is not relaxed, it can go into insomnia, and it will make you not sleep, right? So by the time it's relaxed, you can type well, you can remember, and you can sleep well. Yes. So please do this. So flex back, yeah. Do this. Okay, so come. Lock your hand. Flex back. Give me this. Flex, just flex, yeah, relax, yes. Yeah, so all this is to achieve better posture. And once your postures are correct, you hardly have headache, you hardly have waist pain, you hardly have issues while you can sit for a long time. Yeah, but it's always advised if you sit for at least 2 hours, 3 hours, you should stand up and walk around. Yeah, because we cannot actually control how we behave when we are in work mode. Yeah, yeah. So do this. Give me that. Yeah. Swing. Okay, lie down, face down, put your head there. Okay, take your hand back. And this one here. That one too. Yeah. Relax. Do this. Yeah. Okay, like I said, this leg is longer than this, so just relax yourself, because I want to fix it. Just relax. You're not relaxed. Yeah, relax. Relax, yeah. Okay, so that is fixed now. So turn and face up. Yeah. Just relax. Relax. Okay. Relax. Is that painful? Is that painful? Okay. Yeah?
I don't know.
Okay. So your pelvic is locked. Yeah? So see how this can go down.
Yeah.
So drop it. Let's see if this can go down. So this can go down. Yeah? So it doesn't have any resistance, but this does.
Is this gonna hurt?
So this does.
Dr. Paul, is this gonna hurt?
Relax. 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 Your hand straight down, sorry. Your hand straight down, please. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Don't stand up. Don't stand up.
Lagos State government last week discovered 86 apartments under the Dolphin Estate Bridge, Ikoyi, where tenants paid about 250,000 naira per annum rent. And now the state's commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, disclosed this in a video post via his X account on Wednesday. Wahab revealed that the 86 partitioned rooms sized 10 by 10 and 12 by 10.
Now, Mr. Wahab added that the enforcement team of the Lagos State's Ministry of Environment and Water Resources had successfully removed all structures, including a container utilized for various illegal activities from beneath the Dolphin Estate Bridge. Sharing videos, the commissioner wrote 18 individuals squatting illegally under the bridge leading from Dolphin Estate were arrested yesterday, 30th of April 2024, by the officials of the Lagos State Environment Sanitation Corps.
Now, joining us to talk about this instance is our correspondent who was on the ground at the time of the removal of the structures, and that's Marshall Onoye, and he joins us live. News Central's correspondent. Many thanks. Thank you so much for coming on.
Welcome.
Marshall. You're looking dapper. It's a Sunday.
Good to be on your set.
It's a Sunday.
You came to as in, take it easy now.
Can you see your mate? Can you see? Can you see your mate?
It's all good. Good to see you here. Great.
All right.
So,
Now,
let's go into the instance now. First of, exactly why was, or tell you what we're going to do. Let's first of all launch that report, and then when we get back, we're going to be asking you these very critical questions.
Fantastic.
Let's do that.
This video of a man taking his bath under the Dolphin Estate Bridge at the Ikoyi axis of Lagos State was received by the Lagos State's Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, sent to him by a concerned citizen on Tuesday. Upon receiving the video, the commissioner swung into action, immediately ordering the commander of the enforcement team of the ministry, retired Major O.O. Cole, to move to the location and secure the property from illegal settlers and environmental violators. Arriving at the location the next day, Major Cole and his men were amazed at what they found.
I'm not showing you my ID card. You are living here, are you living here? Yes.
A total of 86 rooms partitioned with woods and other materials and a metal container allegedly used for different illegal activities were discovered under the Dolphin Estate Bridge. Tenants here part with a sum of 250,000 naira per annum for the makeshift apartments under the bridge. The occupants have since been evicted and demolition of the apartments long begun.
All the sand put under the bridge for a kind of protection, they were excavated and they started putting structures, 86 rooms. You can imagine somebody removing sand that's supposed to give protection to a facility, a bridge, and putting structure there and collecting money from people. That is sabotage.
These occupants are said to have carried on with normal daily life under the bridge with their families, sleeping, cooking, congregating, and some others walking and soliciting for customers, as was the case of the commercial sex workers that were alleged to have run a brothel at the location. This posed an obvious recipe for disaster, as it was discovered that some occupants had gallons of fuel stored up for their generators in these makeshifts constructed majorly with wooded materials.
Who collect money from you for this place?
Mopo.
Mopo?
Ben.
Mopo?
Yes.
How much?
250.
And last month we came here, but though the man gave my mom 50,000 naira yesterday, and he said he will see us today. So we don't know, maybe he will come back or not.
This is how the residents, the occupants of this illegal shanty that was constructed right under the Dolphin Bridge, were set to be getting access to water which they used to carry out domestic activities and cooking as well.
Back at the office, armed with just the payment receipt obtained from one of the tenants, we extracted a phone number believed to be that of the man at the center of it all, simply known as Mopol, whose real name we discovered is Benga Emmanuel Oluwafemi.
No estate chairman in Dolphin that will never say that he did not know me. Even there are some people in Lagos State that they are in power in Lagos State, that they live in that place. They know us very well. Blue container, they demolished, they cut this morning. That container has been there for going to 15 years now. that the previous government did it for us here. The person that did this container, first of Kiamu, he was the one passing by. He said, what are we doing here? We said that we are security to the street light here. He said that if we are security, where are you people hiding yourself? If rain is falling, where are you people staying? He said, okay, don't worry, I will complain, I will know what to do. They will come and build little things. I've never refunded any money to anybody, and I don't think I've ever collected. If I'm collecting 250,000, I will not be in that place again.
Mr. Benga denied collecting money from anyone, contrary to evidence of payment receipts for tenancy obtained from some evicted occupants. The growth of population in metropolitan Lagos has assumed geometrical proportion, and the provision of urban infrastructure and housing to meet this demand is not at a commensurate level. An online report by Business Day in February 2023 says this has resulted in an acute shortage of housing for the teeming population, with Lagos alone accounting for about 5 million deficit, representing 31% of the estimated national housing deficit of 18 million. Lagosians are not likely to have seen the last of such shanties or makeshift apartments, especially under the numerous bridges in Lagos State. Neither have we seen the last of the operations of officers and men from the enforcement team of the State Ministry of Environment, as they hope to carry out more raids and dismantling of illegal settlements in the coming days. For News Central, Marshal Anthony Onoye.
First off, Marshall, I want to say fantastic reporting.
Well done.
Well
done. Well done. I would say that just watching it and then seeing it from behind the scenes is that's why this job is so important. Yeah. And to be able to go there and get the answers and know why they're there and how they've been able to be there for that long under our noses. And again, well done to you. And so let's start with your discovery. I know you put some out there in the package we just watched, but from your own point, some things where you're not able to put out there. Your discovery, the environment, how long they've been living there, how did they even get there? Who decides to live under a bridge?
Okay, so for how long they've been living there, reports have it that some said over 10 years, and some said up to 15 years. When I spoke with the suspect himself, the ringleader, now referred to as ringleader because we hear the government is on his tail, Emmanuel himself, he said he's been there for 15 years. And, you know, he's the original security that was contracted to safeguard the street lights. And then they had this generating set, which was meant to provide supply power to the streetlights, which was eventually circumvented to provide power for the what I've come to be calling Bacha Estate, Dolphin Underbridge Bacha Estate, makeshift estate. So that's why you would hear they were having 24 hours power supply, because they were using the government installation for power in that place. So for your question directly, 10 years, between 10 to 15 years.
So apparently they're band A customers.
You can
how were they able to slip through the radar?
Well, we also gathered that, you heard my conversation with him. He said the government knew that they were there. He was there. And several other people, passerbys that we spoke with, said this place has been in existence. And they knew that these people were habiting in this place. And, you know, so for us, it was a thing of whether government had turned a blind eye to these guys, not knowing the menace they would get to constitute in the near future. And then, because somebody had called the attention of the current Commissioner for Environment, he then decided to spring to action. But he probably wouldn't have been in the know of this, the existence of this underbridge menace in time past. Maybe he just found out. But what we've gathered is, to a very large extent, the people, residents of Dolphin Estates to your right and the left of that bridge, were in the know of the fact that these people were in existence there.
Let's talk about these people themselves. We saw some of them in the report. What kind of people inhabit these places? Are they people who work around or work far? Why did they choose to live there? What kind of businesses or activities happen in that area?
For starters, you can begin to imagine the people in the economic class that would be able to afford 250,000 naira. And leave that to your imagination, whether they belong to the A grade or the lower grade or the middle grade or middle class, if you may. And then you'd have people who said, part of those who were apprehended at the location, there were people who worked in the banks, there were people who were Uber drivers. I mean, these guys, some of them had cars. The apartment had air conditioning systems installed in them.
Really?
Yeah. And then you also had people who were running brothels, commercial sex workers. Then you had a mini restaurant or bar.
What?
Where
All on location.
So really, that's like an apartment block. It's not makeshift anymore.
It's an estate.
There we go.
That's what it is.
Wow. I mean, and then when you're saying all of this, these guys are people that there's all mixed there. So clearly, this points to a housing deficit problem then that we have in the state.
I agree. One thing I'd like to note here too was the residents the occupants of that illegal occupation or location there were saying that the landlord whom government is on his tail right now was really strict about sanitation. You know, the irony of this, really strict about sanitation, and he ran a schedule such that each apartment occupant would have days when they would come out and, you know, sweep the environment. They had sunk a well. I don't know if you saw that well. They sunk a well there. He sunk a well there to provide water for the occupants. What they didn't have was toilet. So they defecated in, you know, some kind of nylon bags and then disposed in the near lagoon, you know.
Who's this guy, this, what you call him?
The landlord.
Mopol. That was how he was referred to.
Yes.
We got his name as Benga Solomon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so...
Who is he exactly?
That question I threw to the commander of the Kick Against Indiscipline, which is the enforcement team of the Ministry of Environment in Lagos State. And he didn't know him. He just referred to him as one Mopo. And we spoke with the residents, they said Mopo. I said, doesn't this guy have a real name so we can, you know, look him up or something? And that was when we then reverted to our GPS tracking system because we had the phone number. So with that phone number, New Central, we did what we could do at the back end, and then we were able to obtain certain information about him. One of such was his name. Even his location was obtained. And I shared that location with the commander because he wanted to share it with the commissioner. As at that time, he told me that they were going to apprehend this guy and prosecute him. So I shared that information. His real name, Oluwafemi Benga Emmanuel. You know, that was what we got.
I mean, this is first. We understand there's more that will be happening in the coming days, more raids of these makeshift apartments under the bridge.
Yes, I hear tomorrow there would be a demolition at Ebute Elefun. I hope I got that correctly. And it will be led by the High Commander as well, Major Cole. He will be there with his team to carry out the demolition. He said what's peculiar about this one is they share perimeter fencing with school. And you know how the Lagos State government has said, look, nobody should share perimeter fencing with schools. You know, so...
so residential shouldn't share perimeter fencing with schools?
Well, yes, in certain areas. But in areas like the roadside areas, he wouldn't expect that perimeter fencing will be shared with residents. So it's weird to have that going on there. And then the pollution, the level of pollution that is, you know, coming from that location is also something of concern.
Right. I mean, we've seen many of these cases begin to raid. We've seen them going under the bridge, the homeless, and also so much more that's been happening. I do hope that the state government, as they are expelling them, the conversations is now going to be had about housing deficit and as well as the number of homelessness that we're seeing on the streets, people just sleeping, I mean, making homes under the bridge. And just who does that?
Need I add the menace that they constitute to the public facility, the road itself? Now, we didn't get to show the clip where the water channels were blocked. The water channels for water that was coming from the road, you know, and running down, they were supposed to run down to the underbridge. They were blocked by these guys, so their houses don't get flooded. Meanwhile, you'd find that when you're driving up or descending down those bridges, you'd find
clogged.
pool of water.
Yeah.
That's the reason you have those.
And where did they get their electricity from?
Like I said earlier, they were supplied electricity from the generating set that was meant to supply electricity to the streetlights. So it was a simple tapping of electricity from the streetlights or from the generating set to that place. And that was a major attraction for occupants who wanted to, who took apartments there.
24-hour power supply.
You may say so.
Ooh, that is a band.
Marshall, that's fantastic reporting. And will you be at the raid tomorrow?
Hopefully.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on this.
we expect to see more from you. Thank you very much for such stellar work.
Thank you, Zeno.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you stay tuned, we've got more. We're going to be taking a look at the UTME results only the next hour. So do stay with us. First off, let's bring you sports.
Welcome back. As you're watching Breakfast Extra. Of course, you have to sit back, relax, as I take you on a journey in the world of sport. The Nigerian mixed 4x400 relay team, they sealed their automatic ticket to the Paris Olympic Games after an impressive run to finish second in their qualifying round in Bahamas for the World Athletics Relays. University of Alabama's Samuel Ogazi led the charge for the quartet of Ella Omojovowe, Chidi Okezie and Esther Joseph. They finished the job in a time of 3:13.79 seconds to punch their ticket to Paris. Team USA's quartet of Matthew Bolin, Lima Eber-Jackson, Ryan Willie and Kendall Ellis, they clocked the championship record of 3:11.52 seconds, while Team South Africa, representing Africa there, came in third at 3:15.75 seconds. Meanwhile, it wasn't the same scenario for the Nigerian 4x100 relay team and the women relay team squad, as they failed to finish in the top two of the Olympic automatic qualifying ticket. In the women's 4x100, the squad of Tima Ejopobian and Favor Ofili Olayinka Olajide and Tima God Bless, they settled for third position at 4:3.15 seconds, behind USA at 4:2.21 seconds and France at 4:3.09 seconds. An underwhelming performance in the men's category saw the finish fifth at 3:8.49 seconds, despite the strong start from Udodi Onzurike, consider Ekenem, handing the baton over in a strong second position. But Alaba, Akintola and Sheyi Ogunlewe, they were unable to close it out for that quartet. Notwithstanding, both teams have a chance to redeem themselves in the repechage, of course, for the day two, where they will be fighting for the top two position to make the final top 14 countries. Moving away from that, Nigerian champion Rivers Hoopers, they kicked off their 2024 Basketball Africa League campaign on a winning note by defeating last year's finalists AS Douane at 77-68 in Dakar Arena on Saturday to kick off their Sahara Conference campaign. It was the second win at the tournament at the Port Harcourt-based club since they debuted in 2021. Hoopers head coach Ogo Daudu started the encounter with a quintet of Willie Perry, Kelvin Amayo, Peter Olisa-Emeka, Divine Eke and John Wilkins. AS Douane, they tried to prove their mettle in the final as the last edition by asserting their dominance from the start to taking commanding lead in the first quarter, ending that quarter at 23-18. The second quarter saw a more balanced exchange between both teams. The Hoopers, led in form of Divine Eke, they edged AS Douane 19-16. However, the Kingsmen maintained their tempo, opening a 10-point gap in the third quarter, 19-9, and AS Douane, while in the fourth quarter, they concluded winning at 21-20. Eke was Hooper's top performer in the encounter with 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists. He was followed by Willie Perry, who dumped 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Wilkins also had 14 points and 3 assists for the Rivers Hoopers as they began their campaign on high. Now let's wrap up sports, telling you, of course, what to expect in the English Premier League today. It's a run-in for the title, but Arsenal and Manchester City are the teams to look out for as they, of course, are sitting atop the table. Arsenal sitting with the points at top of the table. But right now, today, our focus gaze on the matches for today, where Brighton takes on Aston Villa at home, Chelsea will welcome West Ham, and Liverpool would see Tottenham. They say Tottenham are the kingmakers, but they have been marred by Kings of late. But in this encounter against
Jurgen Klopp's side to be the last match against Ange Postecoglou, we hope to see the running for the English Premier League title. Right, there you have it, sport update at this time. Of course, on the driver's seat is Onyechi Obaro. I'll be pushing the baton right now to the news anchor, Adibola.
Hello and welcome again to the news on Breakfast Extra. I am Adibola Adeduba. Let's begin by telling you that marketers under the aegis of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria have said that the National Executive Council will be meeting officially on Monday to find a lasting solution to the problem. The national president of IPMAN, Hamed Fashola, said that Monday's meeting became expedient following the prevalence of the fuel scarcity, despite recent aggressive moves by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Fashola said the NNPC, which is the sole importer of petroleum products in the country, opened its reserves in all existing depots across the country on Friday in the bid to ease off long queues at the fuel stations. And now we'll move to security matters, where at least 24 persons are said to have been killed and several others wounded in a fresh bandit attack on Ngwagwa Sakin Noma community in Sabuwa local government area of Katsina State. Those killed were mostly vigilante members who reportedly came out to confront the bandits. Local security officials said that during the attack, which lasted for about an hour, 4 villages were raided by hoodlums in what he described as reprisal over military offensives on the bandits' hideouts. And bandits were reported to have killed 3 villagers who were working on their farms in Ogwalu community of Agatu local government area of Benue State. According to a source, the victims were working at their separate farms on Friday afternoon when the bandits attacked them. Confirming the attack, the chairman of Agatu local government area, Yakubu Ochepo, said the attackers came through neighboring Upper local government area and hacked the victims to death. On a sad note, former Minister of Education and Industrialist Kenneth Gbagi has died at the age of 62. Gbagi was a governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party in the Delta State election, and he was reported to have died on Saturday, May 4th, and this was confirmed in a statement released by his family. Staying in the west of the continent, Togo's ruling party won the parliamentary majority in April's legislative elections. This was announced by the country's Electoral Commission after a divisive constitutional reform critics say allowed President Faure Gnassingbe to extend his time in power. Gnassingbe's Union for the Republic Party, UNIR, won 108 of 113 seats in the new assembly. The participation rate in the election was 61%. Still on election matters, but now we move to Central Africa, where Chad's junta leader Mahamat Idris Debny Itno has held his final presidential campaign rally ahead of May 6th ballot. In power since April 2021, the current leader was proclaimed president by the junta, and his father ruled for more than 30 years.
Siège obtenu 2. La répartition des 113 sièges se présente comme suit. Abdi, 2 députés. ANC, 1 député. DLP, 1 député. FDR, 1 député. Uni,
Je peux affirmer avec force et conviction que notre victoire au soir du 6 mai prochain est assurée, Inch'Allah. Inch'Allah. Elle ne laisse planer aucun doute. Elle sera collective et belle, très belle, dans ce chat de demain. Si je suis élu, ma main.
Meanwhile, Chad's transitional prime minister and presidential candidate, Success Masra, has closed his campaign with a final rally in the capital in N'Djamena, attended by many of his supporters. Once a leading opposition figure, Masara has come under fire from other critics of the regime who suspect him of striking a secret deal with Debby's government. Since joining the government, the The leader of the Transformers Party has softened his stance. And that's all on the headlines. I am Adebola Adedwa. Let's take a short break. Stay with us.
Time for Weekend Warrior, ladies and gentlemen, and we are in a celebratory mood for this edition as we celebrate a true legend of Nigerian football. Today, we're here to honor the appointment of a football icon as the new head of coach of the Super Eagles. So join us as we recount the remarkable journey of none other than Finidi George.
It's a moment of immense pride and joy for Nigerian football enthusiasts as the Nigeria Football Federation announced the appointment of Finidi George as the new head coach of the nation's senior men's national team, the Super Eagles.
Yes, indeed. Now, let me just start by saying that Finidi George, a name synonymous with excellence on the pitch, brings a wealth of experience and a legacy of greatness to his new role. It's from his days as a dynamic winger for Ajax Amsterdam to Real Betis and to his stellar performance for the Super Eagles. Finidi has left an indelible mark on the beautiful game.
Definitely.
I know that's right.
Now, as a member of the esteemed Golden Generation, golden indeed, Finidi played a pivotal role in Nigeria's triumph at the 1994 Africa Cup of Nations in Tunisia and the historic debut at the FIFA World Cup Finals in the USA the same year. Now, who can forget that magical moment when he assisted Rashidi Yakini in scoring Nigeria's first ever FIFA World Cup goal against Bulgaria? It was epic.
Let me do it. I need the camera to be on me so I can do it. Well,
Finidi's contributions extend far beyond that iconic assist. With 62 caps for Nigeria, including appearances at the 1994 and 1998 FIFA World Cup Finals, Finidi has been a beacon of inspiration for generations of footballers.
And Finidi George's appointment is a testament to his outstanding credentials, both on and off the pitch. As a player, he showcased exceptional skill, creativity, and, very importantly, a winning mentality. So now, as the head coach of the Super Eagles, he has the opportunity to impact the knowledge and passion for the game to the next generation of Nigerian footballers.
So, as we celebrate the appointment of Finidi George, let us also honor his remarkable achievements and contributions to the beautiful game with him at the helm in the future of Nigeria's football, making it brighter. We're hoping that we're going to win more medals.
Will the Eagles soar higher? That's the question we're going to be asking. But to answer all these questions, are the Eagles going to soar higher? We have joining us live now via video chat the former president of the Nigerian Football Federation, none other than Amaju Pinnick. Thank you so much for coming on and thank you for joining us. Very quickly, let's get started and ask about the attributes and qualities of Finidi George. What do you believe influenced the decision of the Nigerian Football Federation to appoint him as the head coach of the Super Eagles?
I think they did their due diligence, and that's just under Ibrahim. They normally go through a lot of checks. They look at, they take due diligence very seriously, you know, and I believe at the end of the day they came up with that. They went through the technical department, to the technical committee, then to the executive committee, and I think they just chose the right candidate, you know. I've always maintained that if we were to make an impact that is global in football, the first thing we must do is to have a smooth transition, you know. Finidi being there doesn't make him, you know, the best coach in Nigeria. But because at that critical point, he was the head coach of the national team, second only to Pizarro. So all Pizarro achieved, he was an integral part of it. If it was Amunike that was in that stead, definitely I would have supported him, because now, between now and June, we have very critical matches. We have a match against Benin Republic. We have against South Africa. These are no joke. They are very, very tough matches. Trust me. So we do not have time. So bringing any other person apart from Finidi would have been experimental. But Finidi largely because he's been with these players, he's been with the team, especially in the last 2-3 years. He knows some of their weaknesses and some of their strengths and their mental capacity, and that is just one of the reasons. The another reason why Finidi possibly would have won the Arts of the Federation is because it doesn't have any form of encumbrance around him. Encumbrance in the sense that, an ex-international that is humble to a fault, an ex-international that is a team player. What I mean a team player, Finidi let himself to say he knows everything. When I was president, all these were my personal observations about it. And what was quite elemental, he came to Nigeria after coaching some youth clubs, some youth teams in Spain. He came to Nigeria and also coached one of our biggest indigenous clubs, Eyimba, and won the league. So when we are talking about local content, those of us from Niger Delta, we believe local content. This is one of the attributes of local content. He came home and coached a club and won the league with the club. So what more do you need?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Very interestingly, sir.
Let's not expect everything from him today.
Okay. Very interesting.
We should help him, support him, and build capacity around him.
I wanted to touch on something that you mentioned, sir. You talked about exactly why he was in the best position, that he was in the best position to actually have this appointment. But you also mentioned something, you said something interestingly, that Amunike would have been a better option. Was that what you meant when you said that?
No. I said if Amunike was the assistant to Pizarro, it would have been a no-brainer because of smooth transition. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand now.
But it
Thank you
is
for
Finidi that's there now, and Finidi has some other elements that stood him out, possibly during their interviews, during all the selection and the due diligence process. And those are some of the attributes I was highlighting to you.
Okay.
Concerning the current situation or landscape of Nigerians football, especially with the Super Eagles, it's been one foreign coach after the other. With Finidi George, do we hope to see a change? There's a lot of conversation about it always being foreign coaches, and now it's somebody that is close to home. Do you see a change with his in terms of performance?
Yeah, I think if he's given the enabling environment, if he's given the right support, and if we do not put him under undue or unprecedented pressure, I believe he will be very successful because he has all the attributes of a very successful all the attributes of very successful leader. He has good leadership, which is one of the main ingredients, so to speak, of football leadership in any capacity, whether as the president of the operation or the head of the team. Because what good leadership does for you is it preaches maturity, it preaches science when it comes to selection, science. That is only the best can fit into the various positions, And again, we shouldn't put him or the NFF under pressure. Football is played by 11 apiece.
Well, thank you very much.
Finidi just needs some kind of support. In terms of foreign coach, listen, I've always advocated for a foreign coach for reasons best known to me.
Well, all right, sir. Thank you very much for taking
eventually writing my book, I would possibly come out illustrating why I've always believed in a foreign coach.
And we look forward to having that conversation with you in the coming weeks, where we're able to have you here with us in the studio to talk more on that that you just said about your own leaning towards having a foreign coach to spearhead the adult club there, Super Eagles.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for joining us on this very special occasion. We look forward to everything that Finidi George has to offer. Here's a new chapter of success and also glory to the Super Eagles under the leadership of Finidi George. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And until next time, let's keep soaring for the Super Eagles. Stick around, don't go anywhere. We're going to be discussing this time education, all right? Now, let's look at this, right? On Tuesday last week, the Joint Administration, or rather the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, announced the release of the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME results. Now, the JAMB registrar, Professor Ishaq Oluyode, who made the disclosure while addressing a press conference in Abuja, noted that results of 64,624 out of the 1.1 million candidates who sat at the examination have been withheld by the board and should or would be subjected to investigations.
Now, the registrar explained that a total of 1.9, that's 1,989,668 registered for the examinations. 80,810 candidates were absent. He explained that 8,401 candidates representing only 5%, rather 0.5%, scored above 300. 77,070 candidates representing 4.2% scored above 250 and above. He further said that 439,974 candidates representing 24% scored 200 and above, and 1.4 candidates, 1.4 million candidates representing 76% scored below 200.
Now, with such stats, this paints a rather grim picture on the state of tertiary institution or tertiary and education and secondary institution, education in Nigeria. There we go, that's a tongue twister. Now, joining us right in the studio is Dr. Isa. She's an education consultant and the president, Isa School of Education. Doctor,
good morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, let's get started. Upon evaluation of the recent UTME results that we just, rolled out, those numbers that was released by JAMB, what were your initial thoughts on the statistics indicating that, barely a quarter of the students or candidates scored above 200, with the majority scoring below this threshold?
The results are honestly not a surprise. They are an accurate representation of the goings-on in our secondary schools. Yeah, if you look at what those of us in education have been advocating for, we keep encouraging children to regurgitate knowledge, not necessarily develop skills. There's an education theorist, Professor Blooms, who talks about levels of questioning. And he says we cannot keep focusing on the low levels of thinking, looking at remembering, questions that get you to remember, multiple choice and all those things. We need to move up to application, analysis, synthesis or evaluation, and creating. JAMB questions focus a bit more on application and analysis. That's not what the children are used to in schools. So the question really is, what are we doing in our secondary schools to prepare these young people for these higher order thinking exams? That is the real question we need to address. It's really not a surprise. I mean, Prof said this is one of the better results in the last 10 years.
No.
But yes, that's what he said. In fact, in the last 3 years, this is the best. There's a 1% increase from between last year and this year. Yeah, so for us in education, it is true. This is an accurate representation of where we are as a nation. And so educators, teachers, school leaders, we need to rethink what we're doing. Let me give you a typical example. So you go to a class and it's a 45-minute lesson. 5 minutes, do a starter activity, something fun to wake the children up, right? Okay, then the teacher talks for 10 to 15 minutes, talking, explaining whatever the concept is. Unfortunately, the next step becomes copy the notes off the board. After copying the notes of the board, there's a 5-minute evaluation at the end. Tell me, where's the time for critical thinking? Where's the time for knowledge application? And then time for a test or an exam. Oh, what does Joy do? Joy regurgitates the notes she copied off the board so the teacher can mark the notes and succeed. When you now ask Joy to apply that knowledge in a new context, I have no idea what to do because nobody taught me to think. That is a fundamental problem in our schools.
So apparently it's a difference between qualitative and quantitative.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, then I have a question, and this is going to perhaps implicate the secondary schools themselves because of the WAEC exams. My question is, if we're getting such poor results from our UTMEs, the WAEC exams seem to be going pretty much okay, recording perhaps maybe over 50% success. Is there a problem there?
Absolutely. I'm an educator, right? So I'm throwing myself under the bus as well. Seriously, we need to shift our focus from these high-stakes exams. Can we prepare our children for life? In education circles, we talk about the 4 C's of the 21st century: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. Where do we provide the opportunities for our children to develop these skills so they don't feel, oh gosh, I don't know what to do, so I need to cheat? And then you won't believe it, there are WhatsApp groups in this country that you pay 1,000 naira to join and you have access to answers of questions the morning of.
No.
I promise you, 1,000 naira. It's embarrassing.
It really is. You just talked about cheating, you know, and them not left with any option but to cheat. And this was the same case with JAM, right? So with JAM, there's a substantial number that have now been, their results have not been withheld and only will be released upon investigation. Last year, or the year before, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a popular scenario as well of a young girl who's doing that. So, I mean, then let's take this, just look at all of this and how then can we ensure situations like this isn't happening where cheating is so rampant and they can get shortcuts to better results?
Teach them to think. Can we get our children to think? Because if I believe I have a decent level of understanding of a topic, why do I need to get the answers when I can answer the question myself? Why do I need to become so creative and innovative with looking for opportunities to circumvent a system when I know what to do? But where I am hamstrung, I spoke to 2 parents yesterday whose children just wrote these JAM exams. One girl, the girl's results are not out yet, and I think the entire center is being checked out. But for the young man, he said to his mom, "Mom, I'm glad I read my books myself. I'm glad I spoke to so-and-so to get support to help me," because he explained how I should answer the questions. And he explained that, you know, and his mom helped him with application questions. So how would you use the formula for relativity, for example? What context will you use them in? If he hadn't done that, he said, incidentally, he spoke about chemistry. He said in his school, there was literally no chemistry teacher, just inconsistency, teachers flying in and out. And so he would have failed the exam if he did not study himself. That could happen in this young man's case because his mother's an educator and she understood the need to, you know, get him help, support, etc. Imagine the millions of children who don't have educated parents who can support them. And then there's no chemistry teacher. How is that child supposed to succeed? Then you now provide him an opportunity for 1,000 naira to get answers. It's a no-brainer.
Now, besides just critical thinking, right, how then can, you know, educational institutions like, you know, like JAM, for example, and UTME be able to ensure, you know, integrity? Besides just critical thinking, make sure to ensure integrity and a fairness when it comes to standardized exams. Like, I mean, this might be a cultural question, but
it is. You mentioned it. You said we focus a lot on the quantitative aspects of assessments and not the qualitative aspects of assessments. I think all stakeholders should be, you know, involved. I think JAM, WAEC, you know, TRCN, all the bodies need to have conversations together. Even NERDC that publishes the curriculum. Can all the stakeholders come together and rethink our assessment strategies, rethink our instructional strategies? I'll tell you a funny story. So I wrote my TRCN exam last year in November, and at our center in Lagos, some people were sending WhatsApp messages with answers. This is the teacher's exam.
What?
Wow. Yes. And so the center coordinator was furious and was tempted to cancel the exams. So the exams come in 4 levels: the NCE level, B.Ed level, master's and doctorate level. So they were tempted to cancel the NCE and B.Ed levels because those were the cheat sheets that had been passed around. I was like flabbergasted. I could not believe what I was hearing.
It's a cultural problem.
It is there is systemic corruption.
So the implication is that even the teachers who are teaching these children, who themselves are prone to cheating, are also cheaters themselves.
Because the teachers, let's take it back to initial teacher training, NCE, right? B.Ed, all the way back there. You know, I tend to say, look, we're teaching these digital natives using analog processes.
Exactly.
Why, I mean, not why, we should query, review initial teacher training. We should go all the way back there. Because again, if I'm taught to teach you how to think, if I'm taught to facilitate learning, not just to be the harbinger of all things knowledge, then I know how to prepare you to think. But where I'm still using the system of education that was established in the 1870s as the model for instruction, how do I prepare young people to survive in the digital age?
We saw an increase of PWDs, and that's persons living with disabilities, as well as the female students as well. This was highlighted by the registrar for JAMB. How can we encourage these numbers to go even higher?
Inclusion is the name of the game. That's what it should be. Planning for inclusion doesn't mean having schools for special ed and then schools for typical children. No, we need to promote more inclusive communities. Again, this is going to counterculture. No, we should no longer be uncomfortable sitting around someone who maybe is fully blind, partially blind, you know, deaf. You need to learn sign language. You need to slow down instruction. You need to vary your tools, incorporate technology, etc. Again, you see how I'm going back to the teacher. How dexterous am I with all these tools? Do I even know what to do? Initial teacher training has really, in my opinion, done us a disservice. Go back to when even JAM was established, 1978. Who's reviewed, you know, the assessment strategies? We don't know. It might be done, but it's not public knowledge. Initial teacher training, colleges of education, who's reviewing the curriculum for the teachers? Not the children now. The last time the curriculum was reviewed for the children was in 2014. I promise you, I do a lot of teacher training. There are teachers in this country who do not have access to that, to the e-curriculum. It's online, it's available, you have to pay for it a little bit, but they don't know. It's all about, oh, this is the lesson notes that was handed out down to me by my ancestors, and these are the notes I will, you know, transfer to the children. There's no creativity, no innovation, and we wonder why our children can't think. We, the adults, need to take responsibility for what's going on and you know, not blame the young people.
Well, Doctor, this conversation is a conversation that should have extended longer, but we're pressed for time. But we want to say thank you so much.
Thank you very much for
taking out the time for coming out this morning.
Thank you.
And this is quite insightful. I mean, I hope that, and I do pray that our education system is more going to look into in terms of investment and also policies as well.
Definitely.
Right.
So stay tuned, because up next, we're going to Ghana. Let's find out where our art is, because they've got theirs back.
Oh, is it on loan?
Maybe.
There we go.
We'll be back. Stay tuned.
Last week recorded a momentous event in Ghana where Ghana's Asante King Otuofo Osai Tutu II proudly displayed dozens of royal artifacts on Wednesday. Now, these treasures looted during the British colonial rule were finally returned home after a long-term loan agreement with the British museums.
Now, the ceremony titled Homecoming, Adversities and Commemoration marks the first public exhibition of the recovered artifacts at Manhia Palace. Among the returned items are 32 gold and silver treasures, including the symbolic Mpomfoso, the Ashanti Sword of State. These artifacts were taken during the 19th century Anglo-Asante Wars by British military forces. King Osei Tutu II described the collection as embodying the soul of the Asante people. This historic event highlights cultural cooperation and the return of significant pieces of Ghanaian heritage.
Now, joining us to talk about the achievement and lessons for Nigeria is William Evans Ekom. He's Ashanti Bureau Chief Media General for Ghana. Thank you so much for coming on. We thank you for doing this with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's get started and talk about the significance of this, right? What significance does the return of this artifacts hold for the Ashanti people, and the broader Ghanaian community, whether at home there or in diaspora?
Well, very huge, very, very huge, because it just takes us back to 150 years ago, what happened in the Ashanti region, the Battle of Amuafo, which is a significant and rich history that many generations have learned. But what are the realities of these battles? The Amuafo battle, which saw the Ashanti army defeated the British, and we understand about 3 Europeans were killed and over 100 were injured. And this was around the time that the Ashanti army was, dominating, down south. They were warriors conquering several territories, and that's how come Ashanti still, or the kingdom still holds a number of territories, among the 16 regions of Ghana. Then, of course, that was in January. In February, the British definitely will have their revenge, and they also defeated the Ashanti. That was the Battle of Kumasi, and that was when some of these ornaments were looted. But it is also significant to know that even though certain ornaments were looted or artifacts were looted, but that what failed to get into the hands of the British was the golden stool, which holds the soul of the Ashantis, or the soul of the Ashanti kingdom. That never got into the hands of the British, even though many were defeated. I'm talking about the Ashanti soldiers. But the fact that the golden stool never got into the hands of the Ashantis, even though the British, well, to them, they won the battle, but the Ashantis, they also won the battle, because the soul of the Ashantis never got into the hands of the British. But since the ascension to the throne of the current Santehene, or the king of the Ashantis, Otumfuo Osei Tutu, he has always said that those ornaments, or those artifacts that got missing or looted from the Menshia Palace, he will ensure that those artifacts get back to the Menshia Palace. Now, we're talking about a number of them that you've already mentioned. As I'm talking to you now, a good number of them are already here, with the exception of few. And of course, those that are already here, we also understand that some have been loaned to us, especially those coming from the UK. Those ones have been loaned to us, so they'll be here for a certain period of time, after which they will be returned. But we also receive some from museums in America, precisely California. Those will be here permanently. So,
okay, Williams,
in terms of how significant it means to the people of Ashanti, it also holds the soul of the Ashantis, and also gives meaning to the fact that some time ago, 150 years ago, something happened, and it's just not a fairy tale.
All right, Williams.
Something that really.
Williams, we're pressed for time. I just wanted to ask you real quick what lessons Nigeria has to gain from this, should I call it, partnership between the UK and Ghana. We also have artifacts that are in British possession. What do you think we can learn from this momentous event in Ghana?
Well, I think one thing that we can always not forget is our roots. And some of these things also define where we are coming from. So those things should not be lying in museums outside our jurisdiction. They are ours, and we must always endeavor to go for them. And exactly what the Asantehene has done. So for, our brothers and sisters in Nigeria, we need to go for them. Going for them doesn't mean that we are going to break that kind of the mutual or goodwill cooperation between our country and then the British. It's just a matter of mutual understanding, just a matter of respect. It's just a matter of letting them understand that these are our souls, and we need to also get them so that at least we can also present to the current generation what we did some time ago, what we've been able to achieve some time ago. And look, and listen, my brother, we are talking about ornaments or artifacts that worth billions of pounds sterling. Last time I visited Kremlin, Russia, and I saw a number of these valuables that are lying in their museums. They are something that we can keep. They are something that we can even use to save the future. If we have these ornaments that are valuing billions of dollars in our custody, in terms of economy, I think we can also hit our chest and say that we are doing well.
Exactly. Because those are treasures indeed when you think about it. But Williams, many thanks for coming on. We appreciate you for doing this and just putting this into perspective. And this really calls to action all of other African countries to stand tall and start to request and demand what is rightfully ours. Again, many thanks.
Thank you for having me.
And it's time for us to now move away from our artifacts and this time look at our rising cost of living in this country, our beloved country that we call Nigeria.
Yes, indeed. Nigerians are still in it. We're still in tough times as major food items like bread, rice, noodles, near 100% rise in a one-year report, period. This is by SB Morgan Intelligence, by the way. They had a report. Now, the report, which was last updated on Friday, 26th April 2024, noted that beyond food prices surging, soap and fuel have risen over 150% in 1 year.
Now, of the 60 most consumed products surveyed by SBM, a market intelligence firm within Nigeria, from the first quarter of 2023 to the end of the first quarter of 2024, food prices have risen significantly after, wait for it, tudosun, petrol, and sanitary pads. So joining us now to discuss this critically is Stanley Muoma. He is the head of operations, SBM Intelligence. Stanley,
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Stanley, really, Dudu has Dudu, the soap, the black soap?
Yeah.
That's the one we're talking about?
Yeah.
Which other one was there? Is there a white
I needed to check.
Let's start, right? What are the specific factors that have contributed to the dramatic increase in prices for essential items? Bread, even the staples, bread, rice, noodles, gari, and not to talk of black soap and fuel in Nigeria over the past year.
Well, there are so many factors that have contributed to the rise in this commodities and foodstuff. One of it is petrol. Now, one of it is also the problem we're having with forex, the shortage and the likes. Insecurity is also a very big factor, that is causing high inflation in food, and also low purchasing spending power. Nigerians earn very little, so many of them cannot really even afford what it is. Most businesses are shutting down because they cannot even afford to stay afloat. It was until recently that the price of diesel actually came down. I don't know if it's effective yet, but we've seen a drop in diesel price. We hope that there's a reflection, in the real market prices. Otherwise, we're still on that same boat.
So, are Nigerians poor? Irrespective of the increase in salary, 35% civil servants, are we poor? Because if these prices keep going up, no matter how much our salaries, if it's not relative, so Nigerians, our standard of living is definitely low now,
even with the increase in salaries of civil servants, like you said, the major driver in the Nigerian economy is the informal sector. The informal sector provides at least around 92% of the total workforce of Nigeria. It's about 58.2% of the total GDP of the country. So even if the formal sector, the civil servant and the likes, if their salaries even go up, what about the major employer of the people in the economy? Are their income also going up? No. The answer is no. So Nigerians are actually getting poorer as the day goes by.
Huh. Oh, wow. It's an uphill battle that we fight, isn't it? I mean, let's look at this, right? The Tinubu-led administration has continually tried to put in as much intervention, economic intervention, as we speak. Very later on, earlier last week, we saw the essay to the president on media and publicity talking about all these interventions. But to what extent do you believe like this government policies and even the market forces to begin with or other external factors are responsible for the inflationary pressures on these essential goods?
You know, sometimes when things go bad, you know, you don't expect to fix it overnight. It takes time. A lot has gone bad. This administration actually inherited, you know, bad government. But they've also contributed because we expect to see some reactive policies, you know, proper reforms that can address this issue. You tell Nigerians to exercise patience, but for how long? How long are we going to exercise patience? Show us your plan. It doesn't have to be robust. You know, even if it's just a bit by bit, we know where we're going to and we know when we're going to get there. But we don't know where we're going to, we don't know when we're going to get there, and you tell us to exercise patience, whereas cost of governance keep rising. Their own life gets better while the lives of the ordinary Nigerians continue to go down. You know, it's totally unacceptable, I must be very honest with you.
So, I'm looking at a chart here that's put together by SBM, and inside of the chart are very regular, normal, everyday staples, like you called it. Whether it's the noodles you eat, spaghetti,
a bottle of drink, sausages.
And we're not talking 25% increase, we're talking 50% increase, 100%. Look at that there. Right in the middle is the famous Dudu Osun there. And at number 2, we have petrol, well, obviously.
There we go.
Number 3, everybody had this growing up, and to think that it's gone up 150%.
I know, Smio.
Where did you grow up? 150%. If you have a daughter, you know that this is very sanitary pads, libation. These are stuff that people eat every single day. Now, the government only just this morning, one of the headlines talks about the fact that all these interventions that are being put in place to help the Naira stable are not working. We are producing nothing as a country for export, except maybe when Dangote comes online. What do we do, in your opinion?
Ideally, I think I should send a receipt to the government. If I'm going to tell them what to do.
Because if you give out all this bright ideas.
Yeah, because I didn't campaign with them. They campaigned. You know, they said they were going to fix this. They saw the problem before they came on board, and they said they could fix it. You know, so they should go ahead and fix it. But you know, sometimes you need to get in to really have a feeling of what it feels like. You know, rather than stay outside and condemn. They're on the seats now. And they are complaining. Why are they complaining to us? Do the job you asked for. That's what we're saying.
So you haven't given any suggestion?
Like I said, send a receipt.
I'll send a receipt. Yeah.
Send a receipt. Maybe there's a ministerial position waiting for you.
Who knows? A special advisor.
Okay, let me then interview. Let me interview for that position. So the thing is, we need to be very honest with ourselves. You know, we cannot run government based on stories and propaganda, you know, and things that don't work. You know, the number of people who voted for this administration is lesser than the number of people that didn't vote them. So you already have trust issue or legitimate issue. So what you need to begin to do now is see how you can bring the people together, tell them what the real problem is, tell them why it's taking time, tell them when it is going to work, and tell them what you're doing to make sure that these things work. You know, don't come out and say, oh, you just secured this deal when you know you've not even secured the deal. You know, you don't bring in propaganda when you're still fighting legitimate issue. You know, so the government needs to look at it. I mean, go back to the drawing board. Those things that needs to be done, it should be done. I'm even very surprised that up to now we've been very quiet about the whole cost of living jumping up. You know, I've not even seen anybody talking about demonstration. It's quite unfortunate. But what we're asking for is if prices of things will continue to go up, it's fine, but let the salaries also go up. If you sell fuel for 5,000, let my salary also increase by the number of percentage it is, and I don't have a problem with that. I'll be able to afford my needs while the prices are going up. You know, that's how we'll find a balance. But when you say prices should continue to go up, the government side of it, they are enjoying the whole benefit of governance, and the masses are not. So it's not a balanced playing field.
Let's looking ahead. You just talked about the prices and the hike that we're seeing. What are the prospects of a price stabilization? I mean, will we ever get to that, or affordability of this essential items that we saw on our screen here for our viewers at home? Can it ever get to that point? And what strategies should be prioritized to achieve this stability then?
So I know growing up, I used to hear when things go up, they come down, but not for Nigerian prices. Okay. I don't think I've witnessed a high cost of living, then after some time the price comes down. It's always going up once it goes up. So, sorry, excuse me. What the government should begin to do is to look at the critical infrastructure, that could enable us get out of this mess. We should look at, putting proper roads in place. Insecurity, how do we fight it heads on? If your environment is insecure, you cannot attract investment. If there's no power, factories can't work. People are shutting down. When companies shut down, it means that there will be high unemployment. And when there's high unemployment, it simply means that these people will be tools for, destabilizing the economy. So the government needs to be critical about these things and look at it and handle them the way they campaigned about it.
Okay. Stanley, Omar,
Stanley,
thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Your interview was effective. Let's wait 10 years. It's been quite the show here for a Sunday edition on Breakfast Extra. I want to say thank you also to everybody for joining us all the way since 8 a.m. and to all our guests that made sure that they also joined us, whether via video or present here in the studio.
Yes,
thank
indeed.
you.
And also many thanks to you at home for also tuning in from yesterday and all the way down to today and being faithful to us. Do remember to follow us on everywhere on social media, okay? Go find us on there. In the meantime, we'll see you on Saturday, 11 a.m., or rather, 8 a.m. to take with us.
That will be the end of the show. She's in a hurry right before it starts.
Saturday, 8 a.m. Until then, it's good night and goodbye for him. My name is Judith, the TV.
I'm Mazino Appeal.
And
See you guys
Stanley
next weekend. Bye-bye.